Good morning. Good to have you with us this morning. Reading my devotions this morning, a very interesting part of scriptures. It's from Luke, the 22nd chapter. I'm going to read verses 54 through 61, actually 61 or 2. It's the event where Jesus is taken by the guards to be brought before the Sanhedrin. It says, "And they seized him and led him away and brought him into the high priest's house. Meanwhile, Peter was following at a distance. They lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, and Peter sat among them. When a servant saw him sitting in the firelight and looked closely at him, she said, 'This man was with him.' And he denied it. 'Woman, I don't know him.' After a little while, somebody else saw him and said, 'You're one of them too.' 'Man, I am not,' Peter said. About an hour later, another kept insisting, 'This man was certainly with him, since he's also a Galilean.' But Peter said, 'Man, I don't know what you're talking about.' Immediately, while he was still speaking, a rooster crowed. Then the Lord turned and looked at Peter. So Peter remembered the word of the Lord and how he had said to him, 'Before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times.' And he went outside and wept bitterly." Kind of entitled this devotional, "Playing Dumb." Sometimes we let fear get so much into our lives that we play dumb. What was Peter's issue about denying Jesus? Well, he was afraid. He was afraid of what was going to happen to Jesus. He was afraid for his own life. People said, "Why, didn't he just say that he was willing to die for him?" Yes. It's always easy for us to say we're willing to die for Jesus, but actually doing it may be another thing. As we look at this, we need to realize that Peter was playing a game. Picture the scene. Peter, the big fisherman, strong, resolute, and determined, and firm in his declaration of love for our Christ, denies all knowledge of the Master. Why? He had walked with the Master for 3 whole years, heard him speak the most wonderful words, saw him heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and other amazing miracles. Yet, when he asks if he knows Jesus, his response is one of withdrawal. In other words, he plays dumb. Eric Berne claims that whenever we play games, it's always for a reward. What was Peter's reward? It was the reinforcement of his fear. Why should the reinforcement of his fear be a reward? Well, the more deeply he believed that he was afraid, and the more he did to reinforce that fear, the easier it would be to excuse himself for his failure to stand up for Jesus when confronted. The final payoff was to be protected from danger. A Christian school teacher told me that at an educational conference, someone happened to remark that the Bible was a fable. The man then turned to the school teacher and said, "What do you think?" He told me that his first impulse was to play dumb and say, "I'm not sure," or "I don't know." He caught himself just about to play the game, but instead accepted the challenge of the situation and responded with some positive comments. To play the game of dumb may bring temporary benefits, but the dishonesty involved greatly upsets one's spiritual balance. And as we know, Peter's spiritual balance was definitely upset. For it says there in the latter part of that verse that he went out and wept. He realized his sin. He realized that this playing the game dumb had cost him a lot. Now, true, Jesus would restore him later at the lakeside, but all during that time, and during the time of Christ's death and resurrection, before he was actually restored, Peter must have felt the guilt, the continued guilt of having denied the Lord. He played the dumb game. I want to give you a warning. The situation, spiritually and politically in America, is going to become a challenge to all of us Christians. There's going to be a time in which we will give a reckoning as to our belief of who Jesus really is. I believe that challenge is going to come sooner than what we think. The question we got to ask ourselves is, are we going to play dumb? We need to remember what Jesus said. He who confesses me before men, him will I confess before my Father which is in heaven. He who denies me before men, him will I deny before my Father which is in heaven. We need to start testing and checking our spiritual condition and stop playing the dumb game. Have a great morning. God bless you.